Hello, this is Willie Faye. Welcome to my channel. This is the 5th tutorial in the Learn to Crochet series. And in this tutorial, we're going to learn to do a slip stitch. I have double crochet stitch and a treble crochet stitch. Do remember that if you're in the UK, I'm using US terminology. Just to clarify that, we call a single crochet stitch what you call a double crochet stitch. We call a double crochet stitch what you call a treble crochet stitch, and what we call a treble crochet stitch you call a double treble crochet stitch. Now the mechanics are the same. Learning to crochet all over the world is the same, but you may use a little bit different terminology, so just be aware that I am using US terminology for this. Okay, that's a mouthful. Let's go ahead and move on to the mechanics here. I want you to chain 20, and then I want you to put a single crochet stitch into the back bump of every chain. Do remember, as you learned in the second tutorial in this series, that you will lose a stitch and you'll end up with 19 single crochet stitches on your foundation row. If you haven't yet watched the second, third, and fourth tutorials, you probably want to go back if you're not already familiar with these stitches and just review those before you proceed, because in the sixth tutorial we're actually going to put these stitches into practice, so you're going to want to know how to do them. It's just no fun just crocheting stitches if you don't get to put it into practice. So I'm going to let you give you a few things to practice and play with tomorrow or in the next tutorial. But in this one, we're just going to cover a few more stitches, and you need to be familiar with the mechanics of the previous stitches. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Pause your video if you need to, and then catch up. And we're going to go ahead and move on after you have your foundation row created. You're going to turn your work so that your hook is on the right side. If you're left-handed, on the left side. And you're going to chain 1, and we're going to be doing the half double crochet stitch in this tutorial. Now it's going to be very much like the double crochet stitch that you learned in the 4th tutorial. We're in the 5th, in that you're going to wrap once, and you're also, instead of chaining 2, you're just chaining 1, but you're going to be also moving into the second stitch as we've done even with a single crochet. I hope I haven't confused you there, but we always count this first chain 1 as our first stitch, and we move over to the second chain from our hook. So I want you to back into that like we did with the double crochet stitch, or if you're in the UK, the treble, and then wrap it around. Now remember not to wrap it multiple times. You're just going to wrap it over just like that. You're going to insert it into the second stitch from the hook. You're going to pull up a loop, and then you're going to draw your yarn through all 3 loops, and that will complete a half double crochet stitch. That's all there is to it. If you've already learned to do the double, this should come pretty easy to you, okay? So you're going to back your hook into that, wrap it over once. Once it's wrapped, if I can get you to see, once it's wrapped, you're going to insert it into the next one. You're going to pull up a loop. You're going to have 3 loops on your hook, and you're going to pull through all 3. Back it in there, wrap it around just once. You're not doing a full wrap, okay? Wrap it around, insert it into the next stitch, pull it up. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, grab the yarn, and come through all 3. Again, back it into it, wrap it over, insert it into the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull the yarn through all 3. Again. So we're going to go to the end of that. What I'd like you to do is practice doing that. You can watch me to the end. You can rewind, stop, go back, whatever you need to, because as soon as I finish this row, I'm going to move on to the next stitch. Does not mean you can't, go back and just until you have this one down. All right, so if you're struggling, no worries. Just keep, moving it back until you have it right. Maybe you want to come back tomorrow because this will be a fairly short tutorial and do it again. So here we go. Into there, pull up, 3 loops, come through all 3. Back it in there, turn, pull the loop, go through all 3. Back it into there and wind it, wrap it a little bit, go into the hook, the stitch, and then pull through all 3. Back it into the yarn, wrap it slightly. So it shouldn't go all the way around, but you do want it to just kind of wrap over the top. Into the stitch, pull up a loop, go through all 3. And this is the last one. And same thing, we just make sure that you're getting all of your stitches in to the very edge. You should look, see how that's pretty even there? Should look really straight across like that, okay? Now when you get to the end, you may want to do this over and over, but when you're ready, just go ahead and turn your work, and we're going to move on to the treble crochet stitch. For the treble crochet stitch, we're also going to be using the same method as the double crochet stitch, except that we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so with the first loop, that should leave you 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on the hook. Okay, now we're going to skip that first stitch again. That's going to count as your first stitch. We're going to move over to this one. Instead of wrapping once, we're going to wrap twice. Okay, so it is going to go all the way around this time. We are going to have another wrap here that's kind of, see, it doesn't go around again because that would add another. So let's just look at that again. 1, 2. So it should just kind of be wrapped around partially there. Going to the next stitch, pull up a loop. Now, like with the double, we're going to go through 2. So we're going to grab the yarn and go through 2. Grab the yarn and go through 2, and grab the yarn and go through 2. Okay, so you've just completed a treble crochet stitch, or if you're in the UK, a double treble crochet stitch. So let's do that again. Back it in, wrap it once, wrap it twice. Go into the next stitch, pull up a loop. You should have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to go through 2, you're going to go through 2, you're going to go through 2. Okay, back it in, wrap twice, go into the stitch, pull up a loop. You should have 4 loops on the hook. You're going to go through 2, you're going to go through 2, you're going to go through 2. And you just practice that one over and over. I'm going to go ahead and finish this row because we're going to just do that several times. You can watch how I do it. You notice how I use my fingers to manipulate that. Okay. Okay. Now, the smaller your yarn is, the stiffer the yarn is, the less you really have to. But I'm using a polyester, which is real super soft. So you do kind of have to just make sure that those stitches are neat and tidy. You can practice this over and over. But sometimes you do just kind of have to grab them at the base and make sure that they're going through neat and tidy. Okay? And you'll get used to it. It won't seem so difficult after a while. You may want to just practice that one quite a few times until you're comfortable with it. Like I said, the stiffer that is, the stiffer your yarn, the less you really have to manipulate it. But do know that some yarns are super soft and you have to guide them along a bit. Okay, so we're just running over twice. Okay. Wrap twice on it. See? We're going to each stitch and whoop, start again. Back into the stitch. And we're just going through 2 each time. Okay. Again, next stitch. Pull up the loop. There's always going to be 4 loops there. you're going to pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. So you're pulling through 2 3 times. Okay? Go. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. In, pull the loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. And the last one, pull the loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so that's how that looks. So lay it flat, you get a good look at it. It's important to kind of note here that the bigger your stitches are, the looser they are, the more they come apart. See, the more gaps there's going to be in them. All right, they're going to be tighter the smaller they are. That may seem like a no-brainer, but if you want to work with stitches, you need to kind of be aware that the taller they are, the more gap you're going to have there. And that can work really well for some things, other things, not so much. So let's go ahead and move on to the slip stitch. On the slip stitch, this is pretty easy. And it's the last one that we're going to look at in this tutorial. And then tomorrow I am going to give you some practice work. So hopefully you'll come back to tutorial number 6 ready to do your practice work. So let's finish up today with the slip stitch. With the slip stitch, you really don't need to chain on that. What you do is you go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and you're not going to draw through. That's a single crochet. You're going to take that loop that you pulled up and pull it through the first loop. Let me get back over here where you can see a little better. You're going to go in and pull up a loop. All right. You're going to take that loop that you pulled up and pull it through the first one. Okay. Get up here close. Pull up a loop. Take the loop that you pulled through and pull it through the first one. Again. Sometimes I start to veer off the camera and I'll jerk back into the center. So there we go. You're going to pull up a loop, take the first loop, and pull it through the first one. The loop that you pulled up and pull it through the first one. There we go. Pull up a loop. The loop you pulled up is right there. You're going to pull it through the first one. Pull one loop through another, and that is what you call a slip stitch. Go over here. Okay. Pull up the loop. Pull this loop through that one. Now I'm holding this up in the air so that you can see it well. So if I bring it back down here where it's comfortable, it's a little easier, see, to get it to work. So get it up close where you can see. Then of course it's a little harder. See how quickly and easy that is once I get used to it. If I hold it up here to show you, of course, I kind of have to turn it myself. But either way, it might help you see exactly how that goes together, how those fit together. Okay? Now, slip stitch in the US is called a slip stitch in the UK. So you don't have to worry about that terminology, a little bit of humor there. Anyway, it's a really nice finishing stitch when you want to make sure something's closed off and even and tidy. You'll be using that a lot when you crochet to finish off work. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment if you like. We'll see you in the 6th tutorial when you're ready. I'll give you a little bit of practice fun work so that you can put what you have learned into action.